and welcome to the Cancer Journey podcast. I'm Alicia.
And I'm Sherry Ann.
So, Sharon, will you start Pesh today? Doing our
Okay.
check-in.
So physically 3.5, emotionally 4.1, spirit 4.3, hope 4.4, and my word is possibility.
Okay. Physically, I am a 3.8. Emotionally, I am a 4.2. Spiritually, I am a 4. And hope is a 4.5. And my word is scattered. Very real, very scattered.
I can feel into that vibe.
Yeah.
And I think that the topic that we're talking about today, which is about thriving, is really applicable for scattered and possibilities, our
Mhm.
words for today. So thriving means that we have a place that we're going. We know where we're going. We know where we're heading. Because if we don't, then it's hard to come back to where we are to know how we're going to get there. Oh, that sounds very convoluted. Did that make sense?
Uh, well, I think you're going, and this aligns honestly with your strengths more because you're seeing vision, whereas for me, thriving is being here. It's not
Mm.
looking there. It's about being here and having the resources you have and being able to thrive in whatever environment comes up, whatever changes come up, but having that coreness for you. But that for you needing to thrive or like what you need to thrive, maybe you need that vision to
Hmm.
know clearly where you're going and what the next step is for you. But I agree that talking about the Thriver series and what you get out of the Thriver series is important for people who are in spaces like we're in right now. So we're in very real, very like seeing the possibilities, yes, feeling scattered, yes. And that can all benefit from the lessons that we have in Thriver series and the purpose of why Thriver series exists, right? Thriver series is meant to kind of find you when you're lost. And that doesn't mean like so lost that it's like, someone tell me the answer, I literally don't know where I'm going, or I'm just like spiraling and just rolling down the hill of what life is right now, right? That's not thriving. Or it can be just like a I'm fine. I'm totally fine. I don't know everything going on, but I think I'm doing all right. Right? Like lost doesn't mean that you're completely like unhinged. Like lost can be like everything feels all right, but it doesn't feel great.
Hmm. Yeah. Which is, to me, what you mean by scattered. And then possibility is what's possible. And so coming bringing that back to the Thriver series is what we do in the Thriver series is we get really clear on who you are at your core. I loved it when you said coreness. It's like, ooh, that's a new word that you made up. So who are you at your core so that you can figure out what do I bring to the world? What's really important to me? And what's my purpose? Like everybody needs to have a purpose. And the reason this is such a big thing for me, probably for the last 5 years at least, if not for the last decade, where it's like if you don't have a purpose, there's a lot of kind of like being a plastic bag in the wind. You're just kind of going with how the wind blows and where you think you're supposed to go versus knowing like, oh, here I am and here's my purpose. So I'm kind of steady. I have a really solid grasp on me.
Mhm.
And I was just talking to somebody yesterday about purpose, and it's like people are just doing things. And And it's like, well, this is what I should do, or this is what I could do, but
Mhm.
it's not necessarily what I want to do. And
Mhm.
that comes from who you are in your coreness, but also what's important. And then having that purpose, which feels like it's kind of that North Star. It's like, what am I meant to do? And so that is part of what we really get to in the Thriver series. But then it doesn't end there. It's also, okay, now that I know all this stuff,
Mhm.
where am I going?
I'm gonna
And
pause
then,
you
okay.
because you're going, and then, and then, and then, and then, and like, let's come back. What is the Thriver series? We haven't said that at all yet. Let's talk about what that is just
Okay.
for a moment. Before we talk about all the wonderful things you get out of it and why we think that it's so key and important for everyone. But the Thriver Series is a program that we offer. It is focused on personal growth, specifically for survivors, thrivers, and caregivers. So, any one of those people, it's not just for thrivers, even though it's called the Thriver Series. And it does encapsulate kind of how your cancer has changed who you are now, right? And so, people with these experiences who've experienced going through treatment and being there and being in that space, we have found that they really need the support of personal growth to help shift them into the next chapter of their life, and to feel like they don't have to do it alone. So it's a 12-week program that is really, it gives you the opportunity to focus on you and your own personal growth journey, your own personal healing journey. But also we've included 3 extra masterminds in it that bring in some of our certified cancer journey coaches to really give you that touch. Instead of feeling like you're with the whole program, the whole group, the whole time, you also get to work with our coaches to see really intimately in that one-on-one space, what's coming up for you and how it feels to go through that coaching now that we have some grounding and had some time to process all of this learning into your personal growth journey.
Thank you for that. I get so stuck in the vision
I'm
because of my
excited.
futuristic. Right. And so it's like, this is what you get. This is where you can go. So coming back to that and finishing up what you said is when you're done with the Thriver series, not only do you have a really good grasp on who am I, which is a huge existential question and really big question, but wonderful to answer and get the answer to answer and have that with you. Then you also get to look at, so where do I want to go? And how do I start getting there? I mean, we can't do the full plan. I mean, that's life. That's called life. And so that's going to ebb and flow and lots of things show up in that. But at least having a glimpse of what you really want and figuring out, so what are my next steps to get there? Because that visioning is great, but without a little bit of action, you're just sitting here daydreaming, which is lots of fun. I'm a daydreamer. Visioning is one of the things I love to do, but it doesn't get me as
Mhm.
quickly to where I want to go.
And a goal without a plan is just a dream. Still
There you
nothing
go.
wrong with dreams. Still nothing wrong with not having your plan yet. But it's also hard sometimes to see how to get to your goal. And a lot of times it's not about the like how am I going to get there? Like, what are the actionable steps that I need to take to get there? Something, the quote that we say very, very often at the Cancer Journey Institute are the steps to getting there are the qualities of being there. And and the qualities of being there are finding the resources within yourself that you already have to start acting on them and having them more present in your life instead of just in your pocket. Like, let's take them out of the pocket and let's use them. Let's try it on. Let's see what that feels like, because we're never going to start moving toward what we want if we don't start embodying those qualities and testing them out and trying it out and having that experimentation, because it doesn't all happen all in one go. A flip doesn't switch and all of a sudden you're in it. It takes some sort of either energetic, it's more top of mind, or you're talking about it more, or you're making a choice inside yourself to say, hey, I want to be a little more brave in this. And I want to try to do this just to try it on, because you can always back right out of it and say, you know what, I didn't like how that felt. Um, and there's so many ways to kind of do that, but for us, like, the grounding thing is your essence formula. And
Hmm.
that's really what you get with the Thriver series, which sounds really simple, and we've put it in this nice little container called essence formula, but it's a whole dynamic little beast that we all have within us. But we kind of squared it away so that it can feel more easy to hold on to, less elusive, right? Because you're everything that goes in it can feel so like um changing. Like, it can feel so variable based on what situation you're in. And if you don't know what those things are in your pocket, they will never feel actually solid. Like, so it's made up of your strengths, your value, and your purpose, or your values and your purpose. And even our coaches, right? Sometimes our coaches don't feel as connected. We'll be like, what's your purpose again? They'll be like, oh, I don't know. You don't know what your gift is to the world? That's like, that's not the one you wanted to keep in your pocket, which is totally fair. If we don't practice it, we tend to lose it. But having that and practicing that and giving it energy, even if it's for 2 hours a week for 12 weeks, I promise that change will start to feel so innate, and will start to feel so grounding and relieving to know that you have those not just in your pocket, but fully at your disposal.
Yes. It's like a safe incubator. I'm going to use that analogy where you're finding out all the core resources. I'm going to use the core again. And all the resources that are uniquely yours. Oh, pick from here and look at these. It is a process, which is why I like how you said we don't put it into a, it looks like it's very simple, but we do a lot of exploration and discovery so that we find exactly your thing,
Hmm.
your resources. When times get tough or when they're actually easy, you know that you have this. And then you experiment.
Hmm.
And it's safe when you're in a group that sees you, gets you, loves you, and you can try things. And when things go right, you have a group that celebrates you and sees you, and that feels
Hmm.
really good. And when things are a little wonky, you have people to go, okay, this is what happened. Can you guys help me see what I can't see? And so it's this incubator container that allows you to get your feet solid into these are my resources. This is where I want to go. And so now I'm doing it.
Hmm.
But I've got people holding me, holding my hands, getting my back, and it's like, okay, so I don't have to do this all by myself. And I have people there to help me see things that I can't see
Hmm.
because they're going to bring their unique package to help me move forward. So I love this program. I'm so excited about it. I think it's exactly what we need right now when it's a confusing time. And so I want to just invite everybody. It's like, check this out. Let's start having the conversations about this.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think a lot of the work, it feels like work. You know, it's hard to join something when you're like, oh, a little more effort. It feels like a trudge. But these are things that we quickly discover what the essence formula is for you. Again, it can change. It doesn't always have to stay the same, but it's something that like requires attention, at least in the beginning, right? Because it can be difficult to hear this and know that there's work to be done, but it's like, but already my life, I don't have time and space for this, right? Like, I just like need to keep going about my routine. I just need to keep going. And where am I going to fit this in, right? Again, it's 2 hours once a week. And it's not heavy lifting for you. All we ask is that you really show up. And as you're in the group, this is what's really nice about all of our programs and all of our curriculum and the sessions that we offer, are that like you don't have to come feeling 100% prepared. You can come showing up however feels best for you. We do have people who maybe they have learner strength high, who like to come with all of their tools, with everything they've printed out and highlighted and annotated, and are like super ready and have like this basis that they've prepared themselves. They're like, okay, this is what we did last week, so this is what we're gonna do this week, and this is what I'm ready for. Pen is perched, notebook open, fresh page. And then we have people who are just like, I've had a hard week. I'm just showing up. I'm showing up how I am. I don't remember what we did last week. I don't have the list of all those things that we like discovered. And that's both are completely fine to show up as they are in the sessions. We're not asking you to, always come prepared, things like that, but to be present and as active as you can in the session. And if for some reason, life really kicked your butt that day and you're like, I don't have the capacity to interact right now. I just need to be here in this space, this really, really warm, like growth oriented, understanding space, but I need to just participate less. That communication alone is totally fine and helps us to know where you're at. So we invite you to show up in that way, because especially with this program where we're coming from, it's so like normal to feel lost and confused and like uncertain about like what needs to come next for yourself, that if you need to sit back for the first like 15 minutes and then you decide you want to start leaning in and participating, that's okay too. Um it's it takes work to get to the point where you really feel like you can stand on your essence formula, and just being in an environment with people who are speaking that language, it really does like osmosis you into it, and it makes like more interested in wanting to be a part of that conversation, and then wanting it for yourself too, right? Like watching someone shift from a place of like sadness and despair into a space of like hopefulness and excitement and joy and discovery is like, to be in that space and not want to feel that yourself is unheard of, really.
And it's
Yeah.
contagious. So I love what you're saying, because we're talking about the box that they get and the container that we create, and it's adult learning. It's not a lecture hall. We're not going to lecture you. We're not going to show you videos and say, okay, now we're going to quiz you after. It's experiential, but
Mhm.
you can experience from wherever you are. And my favorite part of all of this and the container that we create is that everybody agrees to suspend judgment. Like, we don't have to come in and worried about being embarrassed or worrying about being shamed, because it is a judge free zone where we get to be who we are authentically in that moment, because every moment has information for us to learn and to know
Mhm.
about. And
Mhm.
so having that type of container and it being very safe allows us to try on new things, or
Mhm.
really let out a part of us that we're too afraid to explore or let out there in the quote unquote real world,
Mhm.
where we get bruised and we get pushed and
Yeah.
and that's not this. And
Yeah.
it's all done for the sake of each individual to be able to come out of this quote unquote incubator into their desired life. I mean, being going through a cancer experience is devastating, challenging, and life changing.
Mhm.
So, where do you go from there? And that's what this is all about. We're here to hold you for a while until you're ready to fly,
Right.
like a
And I
bird
do
out of a nest.
I would go back to like you saying this is adult learning. This is more than adult learning. This isn't like you deciding to go back to grad school. But the way we teach and the way we hold space is something unlike I've experienced anywhere else, truly. And there's a lot of preconceived notions, and totally fairly preconceived, about education and a learning space that you're in, because um most of the time, right, most of our education when we're kids, it's like kindergarten, elementary school, middle school, high school, college, right? The learning model is pretty much the same, right? You're in this big group of people, and the space isn't necessarily safe. It's not. It's open to whatever comes up. Of course, when you're young, there's a lot more there's a lot less emotional awareness and intelligence in that room. That's what we bring that is so essential and a flip of the learning model, because so often it's cold, right? Like when you're learning something new, it's like, here's the information, why don't you understand? Here's it in another way, why don't you understand? And it puts the onerousness of all of the emotions and response that comes up on the individual who's part of the big group, which makes it like, that's when you get people like feeling like they can't do something and then they give up, and then you have one teacher who's trying to lead this giant group of people, but like some people are falling behind and they feel like they'll continue to fall behind, and it segregates your groups. Um we specifically choose only do small groups. Even if we've had groups that are really big, like we always break them even into smaller sections, um because everyone matters, and the way that we set up our sessions with that emotional intelligence layer on top, with that safe space, it really makes it okay to be like, I have a question. Maybe you've answered it already. And like, no one has to feel dumb. Everyone gets to feel exactly as they are. If someone's angry that day or something is said and they feel triggered, they still get to have that moment. And because this is the world that we live in, this like emotional intelligence and personal growth, we don't brush over it like maybe a normal teacher would. It's not a, okay, go sit in the corner and think about what you did. It's like, okay, let's show you actually more compassion for what you're experiencing right now because you were triggered. We understand it is not anyone else's fault or response that you had that trigger, but let's like investigate that for this moment, because it creates a learning experience for everyone else there too, that like you're not a bad person because you got angry. You're not a bad person because um you were triggered. Like you're just not a bad person. Let's investigate what's there. There's something more there if you're willing, obviously. Sometimes people are like, I just need to go, or I just like, I'm gonna turn my camera off. It's like, okay, we're gonna let you have that if you want to talk to, one of our leaders one on one. Like, there's still space for that, but we want you to know that we see you, and we see that something was either triggered or a boundary was crossed, and we don't want to move forward holding on to that anger or make you feel like you have to hang on to it or hold resentment for other people, whoever triggered you maybe. It gets to be this really, really safe container where we're we're curious and investigative and really compassionate for each other. So if something needs to slow down and someone asks for it to slow down, we can do that.
Right.
We're really flexible with the emotions that are in the room. Yes, we have a curriculum. Yes, we have a lesson plan. Yes, we know where we're going with it. But there's so much more to this human experience of learning these things, the concept as well as whatever's coming up at the moment, that it doesn't do anyone a service to gloss over them or to
Right.
make someone go sit in a corner and be quiet and punish them. Um, that's
No
something that
punishment.
we're really special in that way, and I think that's important for people to know because it can be really vulnerable.
Right. And I do want to say that it's not like talk therapy. It may feel therapeutic sometimes, but we do have, as you said, we have a curriculum. And so we have frameworks and tools and structure to process where we're going. I mean, we're not just going to say, "Oh, we're hoping that you're going to get to this place at the end." We know where you're going to get to the end, and we facilitate that. And you learn these tools that become life tools, not just, "Oh, I did this. I took this course once and I learned this." And okay, so all done. It's things that will help you as you're
Mhm,
going out there into the real world, as we said before. And that's special because there isn't any place out there right now where we you get to process and you get to slow things down and be customized and personal. This is so personal. And
mhm,
yet you're there held in this community of fellow people who are in a similar situation that went through a cancer experience, again, whether it's the survivor, thriver, or a caregiver. And caregivers really matter, and they don't have a place to to go to do this kind of work and do it for themselves, to finally gift themselves this. So I just want to like reach out of the screen and kind of grab everyone and say, come, this is what is needed, and we're here to shepherd you through with love and kindness and processes and structures and learning, so that at the end you're like, oh, that felt really good. And now I have me, almost like I have me back.
Yeah, yeah. I absolutely agree with feeling like you get yourself back, and there is this like, I mean, in the world right now, I mean, the whole people pleaser thing, right? It's there's so much we know. Like without even knowing our curriculum specifically, like in the world, everyone knows that it's so easy to give ourselves away and gives ourselves up. And for some people that is their go-to because it's kind of just easier that way. Like easier in terms of connecting with people if you give all of yourself to them, you don't take anything in return, or you're not loud about what you really want. Like yes, you'll be accepted by people, but that's not authentically who you are. And often when people do that, they're not getting what they need in return. And so they're finding that they're sad or empty, or they feel like no one truly knows them. Like, really, what this personal growth journey gives you is like, it gives you yourself back. It gives you, like, actually, this is who I am. I get to have this whole mess of emotions because I'm a human, and I still get to be loving and connect with people and agree and disagree and still have a connection and still develop a relationship with them. I still get to have all of that. And maybe I'll discover more of that in places that are more me, right? Because it's the law of attraction. Like when you're more you, you attract people and opportunities and experiences and spaces that resonate with that. And so you just feel gotten.
Yeah. All right. So here's my takeaway: to have a full life, to really stretch into all that my life could be. This is the foundation. This is the core. This is the place I need to start before I start moving. And
Mhm.
I know we're such a doing society that's like, I'm going to go over there, I'm going to start walking. But to really feel solid and connected to you and using all the resources that you have, this is the place to start.
Mhm.
And I know I'm going to do my pesh. So physically, ooh, 4. That's interesting. Um, spiritually, 4.2. I'm sorry. Emotionally, 4.2. Spiritually, 4.3. It's gone up. Hope, 4.4. And my word is promising. Like that's my outlook now. How about
Yeah.
you?
Well, my takeaway is that we all need help. Like I need help, right? I can only see and feel so much, and even if it's just to have someone who's listening, or someone who's really trying to help me understand like what matters to me now, right? Like all of the things that make me me. So it's like I need help to almost be selfish. And I think everyone kind of does, right? Like we need help to be selfish because sometimes if we just choose to be selfish, it feels wrong and we don't have the permission. But if someone's helping us get there, it doesn't feel like selfishness anymore. Um and that support and that love and care that someone really wants you to have everything that is you is actually so so helpful. Um so I think that that's really what the Thriver series also gives you. Like it gives you the help you need to be fully you, and to feel seen, heard, and gotten without anyone else being really a factor in that. Like it really helps you see you as an individual. Um, so that's my takeaway. And okay, my patch. So physically, I am a 4. Emotionally, I'm a 4.5. Spiritually, I'm a 4. And my hope is a 4.5. And my word is it's wanting to be more grounded in myself. That's my word. It's that desire. It's like bubbling in me.
Great.
Thank you for joining us. We hope you can join us for the Thriver series that starts in mid-February. But we have them throughout the year. So if you don't see one on our calendar or on our website, shoot us a message and let us know. But we have so many different opportunities for everyone. So I always, always, always recommend that you reach out to your community concierge, Kathy. She's there to help you, right? Because we know everyone's different. And so booking a call with Kathy is completely free. And also, we get really clear on what your next steps are with us and what um, we think you should start with and how you should move forward with us, really just in service of you. Um, and we release new episodes of our podcast every Friday. So we hope to see you next week.
Yes. Thanks for joining us. Have a lovely rest of the day. And remember, you're more powerful than you realize. Bye for now.